Hey, gorgeous. So, this week, wedding-wise, well, I guess last 2 weeks, since this last week has been kind of a hiatus from everything. Okay, so I finished packing all of the wedding party gifts. Well, most, I suppose. I got all the gifts for my bridesmaids and a couple of people who, weren't bridesmaids, but they also helped, and my flower girls. Jake doesn't know what he's buying his groomsmen yet, and I'm assuming he's gonna wrap those himself, so I guess my side's done. Jake just has to work on it. I've been throwing him ideas, but he just kind of hasn't gotten around to that yet. So hopefully he can go to a store instead of having to order it online, but we'll see. Another thing I was able to do, I finished the emergency wedding kit. You find a bunch of lists online, and of course I consolidated all of them. So I have this giant Franken emergency kit, and honestly, I probably won't use half the things in it, but I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared. So, that's done. I had an eye appointment just in case. My prescription changed a tiny bit, but nothing crazy. So, I'm still going to use it. I bought a new pair of glasses on Zenny. They're currently in the mail. Haven't gotten them yet, but my colors have purple, and if you can't tell, this is a sky blue. So it doesn't really match, even though I do love these glasses. But I was like, well, if I can get cheap glasses online, I'll just get another pair with different frames. I ended up with purple and black frames, which is perfect. So yeah, ends up working out. Hopefully they look good on me. I always feel weird when I go to a different type of glasses. We had our meeting with the venue coordinator. All of our questions got answered, basically. We just have to finalize numbers so we can figure out a few more things. The dreaded wine and beer question I've been agonizing over is finally figured out. So we get 2 kegs with the price we've already paid, and then everything else was extra. So we gave them a set amount for the extra stuff, and my dad also offered to get a 3rd keg. So if we run out, with the way we budgeted it, we're hoping we don't run out at all. And I guess there's still cash bar if we do run out, which would be kind of a bummer. But we have it figured out. It's set. So that's good. And that's one less thing to worry about. Although unfortunately I'm a little annoyed about the dessert because we picked a place that caters food to people all the time and they have different desserts. But the thing is they kind of outsource the baking to a different bakery, which is fine. I thought it was fine. But I was hoping that I could get I wasn't sure about the bakery. But I figured since we're having it at this other venue that already has its own desserts, I was asking, could I buy separate desserts for people with allergies? Because there's one person with a dairy allergy, so they can't have the cake, and a sister-in-law is allergic to peanuts, and I think another cousin's wife is allergic. So they're allergic to peanuts, but the bakery itself doesn't they're sorry, we do have nuts around here, we can't really that's cross-contamination, so the bakery can't do anything. So I asked the venue so could I just buy an extra dessert? Obviously I'd give them money for it, and they're oh no, all desserts have to go through the bakery, you gotta talk to the bakery. And I was I did. I need what do I need to do? Sneak a dessert in so that people can actually have dessert? Because I don't like the idea of people not being able to eat. I know I've mentioned, yeah, I'm not having appetizers. Sorry, I'm stingy about appetizers. But, I do want everybody to be able to have the same thing everybody else is having, if that makes sense. Because appetizers, no one's going to get appetizers. Late night snack, everyone's going to get late night snack. Or at least, everybody who stays late enough. But, dessert is one thing that everybody gets. And it sucks to have some people just not be able to eat it. I mentioned it to my sister-in-law, and she's oh yeah, I just don't eat cake at weddings. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Unless I had told her explicitly, she wouldn't have even eaten the cake. I was just very annoyed that I just couldn't buy a different option at the place that is having it. It's not they won't have desserts for other things going on at the time, because ours isn't the only event that's happening there, so. I don't know, maybe I'll ask again and see what they say. We also learned our hotel block's almost full. I don't think it's completely full yet, but it's pretty full, which is great. I also started another craft of wine cork table numbers. I was going to figure out a way to get 4 wine corks together in a square and then put our table number in it. I didn't have enough corks, and I was just going to be I'll just lean it against it. against like the wine bottles for my centerpieces. But then I figured, you know what, I'll try just using 2 corks. And so you would take 2 corks, hot glue them together, and then like I'd put some washi tape around the bottom so it looks like a little more put together, I guess, because it's got like, I don't know, there's purple in it, so it's sort of a wedding color. So I did that, and like, they don't look great, but they don't look terrible. So I'm like, well, I'll make them and I can decide day of, because it's really not that much work. And as I've mentioned, I sort of like crafting while just watching videos because it makes me actually feel productive and feel like I'm having fun at the same time. So yeah, I haven't finished those yet because I started them before we left on our trip and like just haven't gotten back around to it. The other fun thing that happened was the Bachelor and Bachelorette parties. Jake had his LAN party here at our house, and they also did an escape room and went to like a brewery or a distillery and just had a good time. So that's awesome. For us, I almost just wanted to hang out with my friends, and my maid of honor asked people to bring a bunch of games, like whatever games they had. And someone brought a game called Buzzed, which is basically like a drinking game, like Never Have I Ever thing. Some of them were intense though, because one of them was like, oh, you have to have a drink for every year you've been in your relationship. And like my mom was there. She's been with my dad almost 30 years. Another friend of mine's been with her boyfriend for 10 years. And we're just like, oh no, we're skipping this one. You could just say the year, everybody. Like, you don't have to actually take a shot, because that would have been insane. We also did the cake pulls I mentioned, and my friends are so cute. So I just made kind of the ribbon into a little loop so people could just grab the loop and pull. And, well, one, I put too many cake pulls under there because not everybody I invited showed up. But it actually worked out to, like, perfectly have each person get 2 of the cake pulls I'd made. So that was really neat. And they pulled them out, then, like, the loop was big enough that some of my friends was putting it on their wrists like a little charm bracelet. So everybody had like two ribbons with a little charm on each one. It was really cute. And they loved all the meanings, and yeah, they'd never seen it before, and they thought it was a really cute idea. And also, my maid of honor made the cake, and she made like a copycat Whole Foods Chantilly cake, and it was delicious. It was so good, but there was so much of it that we couldn't eat it all, but it was so tasty. So it was like cute little thing and also a tasty treat. And it was funny because we actually had the cake like right before, like in the afternoon. That was basically our lunch. And then we went to, there's a place called Upstairs Circus. And it's basically like, if you've heard of a paint and sip, where you like can have some wine and also paint whatever painting that the instructor teaches you. It's a bit like that, except they had you could just buy a bunch of mixed drinks, cocktails. I'm sure you could have also gotten wine. And like our table got champagne at it, so they had other stuff too. But basically grab a drink, and then you pick a craft, and there are a bunch of different crafts. What I made was a magnetic shelf that like you can hold your keys up with. And most of my friends did like the thing where you have a board and you tap a bunch of nails into it, and then you put the string around the nails, that sort of string art stuff. Most of my friends did that. One made like a little concrete key holder, and someone made bracelets, and a couple people just did straight up painting on a palette. But it was really fun. It was a great time. One of my favorite parts was after that, we went to go out to a restaurant, and apparently Jake had gone to the same restaurant, so he was leaving it as we were going to it, and we met him like at an intersection. He was stopped. We were stopped on opposite sides, and then the light turned for us, and we go in and we kind of like swoop in, give a kiss, give a hug, pivot, and then keep going our opposite directions. And it was very cute. Someone honked their horn at us, and I don't know if they were annoyed. Like, we weren't taking long. We went like with everybody else in our party. It was very quick. But then someone yelled congratulations. So I was like, oh, okay, they weren't being mean. I really enjoy my Bachelorette. It's probably not the most exciting of Bachelorette parties in the world, but what I like to do is just sit and talk and have a good time with a bunch of people. Like, basically, when you hear stories of just like the old English stories of like the English women just sitting around chatting like the whole time, that'd be me. I love that. So we had a lot of that, and that made me very happy. And because Jake and I are kind of crazy people, so basically we had weekends. It started Friday night. I did like Sunday morning, And we didn't get, like, people hadn't left by, like, noon. And then some people ended up coming back because they forgot stuff during the LAN party at our house. So we were just kind of chatting with people most of the day. And then we got to sleep. And then we didn't even get to sleep yet because we had still to pack our bags because we had our trip the day after that. We basically finished our parties on Sunday. And then on Monday morning, we're like, we're going on a trip, a little road trip. So we gave ourselves no break. But it was still pretty fun. The first day we drove and we went to this, we were going around Lake Superior. That was a trip we were doing. We were starting kind of from like the bottom. Like our first stop, I think, was in Wisconsin. And we stopped at a place called the Chattering Squirrel. It was a little coffee/breakfast place. And it was super cute. Absolutely love this place. I think this was my favorite restaurant on like our whole trip. It was just, I don't know. The aesthetic was on point, and I got like sausage and biscuits and gravy, which is one of my favorites. And the biscuits were the best biscuits I'd ever tasted. They were so good. Not that I'm like the most cultured. I'm sure there are better biscuits out there, but well, maybe not though. Maybe I'm onto something. So I don't know. Go check it out if you've ever been there. If you've never been there. Although I can't remember what town that was in. I just remember the restaurant name. And we went to Copper Falls, and Jake and I just kind of chased each other with our cameras, trying to get weird videos and pictures, and obviously looking at the waterfalls, taking a little hike. It was beautiful. And Jake saw a peacock on the side of the road. And then we spent the night in Marquette, and Marquette was so cute. I love Marquette. It gave me Duluth vibes. I guess you've never been to either of those places, that doesn't mean anything to you, but Marquette, Michigan resembled Duluth, Minnesota to me. And we had pasties, and then we went to like a brewery, but on our way to the brewery, we saw the Ore Dock, which was freaking huge. And after the brewery, we went to a distillery. Then a nice man there bought us a bee's knees, but I think the bee's knees is made out of whiskey instead of gin. It was very interesting, but we saw it and we couldn't pass it up. And yeah, very nice man was like, hey, yeah, here you go. I'll have like half and you have half it, because we didn't want a big one, because Jake wanted like a sip, but he still had to drive. So he was going to have like a little sip to see what it tasted like and give the rest to me. But yeah, so that guy split a drink with him. We chatted with him for a little bit, and then we headed out. And that was a great night in Marquette. The next morning we went to like Presque Isle and looked all around there. We went to Sugar Lump Mountain, which like we kind of underestimated that mountain. It did take us a bit to get up there, and we didn't expect that. We're just like, oh, it's probably not a mountain. It's probably just a hill. And now I'm like, oh, maybe it was a mountain. Then we climbed up Dead River Falls, which was, well, we didn't climb the falls, but there's a giant, like, dirt, like, hill to get up to it, which is weird. They had to go up so high, and it was sort of secluded and hard to see. But I don't know, it was worth going. And then we stopped in Christmas, Michigan, because I wanted a picture with a giant Santa. Because I could not resist. And then we went to Sault Ste. Marie, which reminded me of no other town I've ever been before in my life. It was very interesting to me. We went there, we went and saw the Soot Locks, and we got ourselves some milkshakes. And then, interesting tidbit, if you don't know this area, which we didn't, we had the cross-Canadian border, and we went from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, to Sault Ste. Marie, Canada. They just had the same name on both sides. I assumed it would be a different town. And we go over this giant bridge, the biggest bridge I've ever been on. Just like, everything is so far away. And Jake, who doesn't usually scared of heights, is like, I am not looking down. If I look at the road, I am fine. But it was really neat. We spent the night in Sault Ste. Marie, which was a really cute restaurant. Had like some interesting little cocktails there because it was walking distance from our Airbnb. And on our way there too, we saw a bunch of like cameramen outside a coffee shop. And we're like, are they like filming a TV show there? Because that's a lot of people. Originally we thought the place was hopping. We're like, wow, a cafe open this late? Nope, it was a film crew. Who knew? And the next day we saw the Agawa Rock pictographs, which were super cool to climb through. It was like, not even getting to the pictographs yet, but it was like being in an enchanted forest. It was so beautiful. And then you go down and down all these rocks, and it was so neat. One of my favorite spots that we went the whole trip. And then we saw the Wawa Goose. And while we were there, there was a sign saying like, oh, here's places you should stop along the like Superior trail, whatever, scenic trail, whatever it's called, the road we were taking around. And they talked about a place called Magpie High Falls, and we're like, we hadn't heard of that. So then we drive on this long dirt road past blueberry fields to get there. And once we get there, we literally parked and the falls were right in front of us. Like, there was no hiking required. It was just like waterfalls right there after going on this long dirt road where there's like nothing there. It was kind of nuts. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like a man-made one, but still, like, just kind of deserted, but still there. Very interesting. It was quite a sight, especially just like we get out of our car and we stand up and we could feel the water hitting us. It was just an experience. And then we went to Mink Creek Falls, which was like super secluded, very neat. Saw Aguasabon Falls. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing any of these right, to be honest. And that was neat. That was the weird one where we went down like a man-made, like blue rimmed, like metal pathway to go and see the falls, because they're in it was like at the top of the falls is where this was, so you would have not been able to see it from any other hiking trails. It was just like a very steep drop, it looked like. So you'll still need to see. Spent the night. We ended up, our big plan was to go to Thunder Bay, but we did have to go home early due to some circumstances I don't want to get into right now. But until that point, it was a really good time. We just know we're going to have to go up another time because we really wanted to see Thunder Bay, but we didn't get to go through. Well, we got to drive through, but we didn't get to explore the way we wanted to. So tomorrow it's back to work, which I'm excited to see the kids. But oh man, like, since we've gotten home, I haven't gotten any wedding planning done. And I'm just like, it's like about a month now until the wedding. So I was like, oh my goodness. I feel like I've got so much done and yet so much to do. But, I guess the other thing we did after we got home, we did ask, or we talked to Jake's parents about the rehearsal dinner. Like, they tried out the food that we're planning to serve, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is a good choice. And we talked a couple logistical things, and, we need to give them a final number for how many people are coming to the rehearsal dinner so they know how much pizza to get. But we pretty much got that all squared away, and then we asked if they would do a speech, and they said they would, and then we talked to the best man, and he didn't seem gung-ho on doing a speech, but then I think he kind of thought about it and was like, wait, who's giving a speech? And when I told him my maid of honor was doing one, he's like, well, then I have to do one, basically. So I was like, okay, so now we've got some more speeches figured out, and yeah, I'm just like, I can't remember how much of this is just like asking favors versus just like, we need a final guest count to do any of this stuff. So I'll try and get on that soon. I've been a bit lazy recently with the trip and everything, so excited to get back into wedding planning if I don't just like go crazy for it first. I don't think I will. I'll be fine. I'm just not looking forward to the chasing down RSVPs, because we have one more week for people to get them in, but we only have like 40% of people RSVP'd. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to talk to a lot of people. I'm really hoping I don't. I'm gonna wait until that deadline before I say anything to anybody, but oh man. I don't want to have to chase people down. But anyway, that's all for this time. Bye, have a beautiful time. That's like Rick and Morty.